Hi, hello, I'm a model scout from Berlin. I would like to make an interview with you. Is that possible?
Excuse me, I don't think so.
Why do you think so? Because I think you could be a model, you know. I'm a real model scout from Berlin, and we do street castings. And
You rather look like a journalist. I'm not ready for interviews.
no, I'm not a journalist. No. Please let me explain this again. Maybe that was my mistake. No, I'm a real model scout from Berlin, and I really would like to make an interview with you because we are looking here for some new faces for our agency, and it would make me really happy if you give me a little chance to make this street casting possible. It would make my day, honestly, because today is my last day, and I haven't found any model or any girl until now. And honestly, you look like, oh my God, honestly, you look like really like perfect. And it's a quick interview, 5 minutes.
You make me blush, actually.
No, please. It's a quick interview just about you, you know, who you are, some questions, you know, and yeah, very simple. 5 minutes, quick interview. What do you think?
I'm a little bit confused, to be honest. You really make me confused.
No, sorry, yeah, that's true. Also, this is really true. I'm a model scout. We are working really together with many companies all over in Europe. We have big corporations. We do big campaigns,
Okay.
and yeah, and this street casting is totally new here in Budapest, and it was the idea of my boss, you know, and I do what he wants, so I'm here right now, you know. A quick interview, 5 minutes. Some questions about you, who you are, and that's it, you know.
I'm a lady.
Please give me a chance. What do you think?
Well,
Welcome to my German Scout casting here in lovely Budapest. Please, first of all, tell me your name.
Karina.
What is your name?
Karina.
Ah, Karina. And Karina, how old you are?
I'm 32.
32. Okay, you look younger. Yeah, honestly, you look younger. And Karina, yeah, tell me something about you. For example, what are you working?
I'm fucking around.
What?
I'm jobless.
What really? Ah, okay. Yeah, okay. But I like your style.
That was a joke. Not
Yeah.
literally.
No, it's okay. Karina, for example, I asked you already. Have you never thought about to do some model businesses or jobs in this?
Just when I was a teenager or so, it was just like a fantasy, and this is it. I don't think I'm good enough to be a model. Actually, that's what I thought of.
No. Honestly, as what I see is perfect. So from everything, from the height and from the size, I see really a good chance for you to get into the business very quickly. Karina, tell me something more. For example, what are your hobbies when you are not working or fucking around?
I like to sleep.
What?
I like to sleep.
Ah, here. Sleeping is good. That keeps you young, you know, and that keeps the beautiness. Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
In Germany, we say it's very important to have enough sleep, especially the models. Yeah. They should have always enough sleep. Yeah. Because you know, if they don't have enough sleep, they're getting quickly tired, as I said. You know.
Oh, yes.
And we need always 100%. Oh, it's loud here. And give me a moment. Let me change the position a little bit. Yeah. Wait.
You make me laugh.
No worries. Come. Wait. Go to. That's good. Yeah, perfect. And wait.
About the position, maybe right angle.
I'm thinking about you can lay. It's wasting time anymore. We go to my apartment. It's very close. No worries. And 5 minutes from here. Yeah. No worries.
Okay.
Everything is beware.
It's not too far.
No. It's really quick. We can also, if you want, we can buy a coffee for you if you like. Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. So then, yeah. Let's do this. Oh my God.
Shattered illusions. 15 years of marriage had woven a tapestry of memories, laughter, and shared dreams between Elena and me. We had built a life together, navigating the highs and lows, the joys and sorrows. From the moment we said, "I do," I believed we were a team, partners in everything. But as the years passed, a subtle distance crept in, a growing silence that lingered in the corners of our home. It was a chilly Friday evening when everything changed. I was wrapping up a long week at work, exhausted but eager to unwind with Elena. We had planned a quiet night in, just the two of us, hoping to rekindle the intimacy that had dimmed over time. But as I stepped through the door, I immediately sensed something was off. Elena was on the couch, her gaze fixed on her phone, scrolling through images with an intensity that felt foreign. I greeted her with a warm smile, but she barely looked up. "Hey," she muttered, her voice lacking the usual enthusiasm. "Everything okay?" I asked, taking a seat beside her, concern knitting my brows. "Yeah, just looking at some stuff," she replied dismissively, her attention still glued to the screen. I felt a pang of disappointment but tried to brush it off. "I thought we could watch that new movie tonight. You know, have some popcorn and just relax?" "Sure," she said absent-mindedly, her fingers still tapping away. As the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was miles away, lost in a world I couldn't reach. The movie played in the background, but my mind was elsewhere, wondering what had changed between us. Was it work stress? Or something deeper? The following week, I noticed more late nights for Elena. She often claimed she was busy with work or out with friends, and while I wanted to trust her, doubt began to gnaw at me. My gut feeling told me something was off, but I couldn't bring myself to confront her, fearful of what I might discover. Then came the night that shattered my world. I had just finished a late meeting when I received an unexpected text from an unknown number. "She's with Martin at the hotel." My heart raced, and a chill washed over me. Who was this person? Why were they telling me this? I didn't hesitate. I drove straight to the hotel, dread coiling in my stomach as I approached the entrance. My mind raced with possibilities. Had Elena really betrayed me? Could it be true? When I reached the floor indicated in the message, I hesitated outside the door of room 204, my heart pounding in my chest. I could hear muffled voices from inside, and with each passing second, my breath quickened. I knocked firmly, my heart racing. "Elena! Open the door!" Silence fell on the other side. Then, a shuffle, and finally the door creaked open. There stood Martin, a striking man with an easy charm, but it was his smirk that sent a wave of rage through me. "Ah, you must be Elena's husband," he said, a glint of amusement in his eyes. I pushed past him, my blood boiling. "Where is she?" I demanded, searching the room frantically. Elena emerged from the bathroom, her hair tousled and eyes wide with shock. "What are you doing here?" she stammered, glancing between us. "Why didn't you tell me about this?" I shot back, my voice thick with anger and hurt. "I didn't think it was serious," she exclaimed, panic evident in her expression. "It was just a modeling opportunity." Martin approached me. "A modeling opportunity?" I interrupted, disbelief crashing over me. "In a hotel room? Is that really what you want me to believe? Please, just let me explain," she pleaded, tears beginning to form in her eyes. But Martin stepped in, clearly enjoying the chaos. "Elena has real potential. I offered her a chance to explore that, and she was excited. It was all in good fun." "Good fun?" I echoed, disbelief lacing my voice. "You think this is a joke? You think my marriage is a game?" Elena reached for my arm, desperation written on her face. "It was a mistake. I got caught up in the excitement, but it didn't mean anything. I didn't plan for it to happen." "Then why didn't you come to me?" I demanded, my heart breaking at the betrayal. "Why didn't you talk to me about how you were feeling? You know I would have supported you." "I was scared," she cried. "I didn't want to admit that I was feeling unfulfilled. I thought maybe if I just went along with it, it would help me feel better about myself." "By cheating on me?" I replied, the hurt spilling over into anger. "That's how you thought you would find fulfillment?" Martin cleared his throat, stepping back as the tension escalated. "Perhaps this isn't the best time to discuss business. Elena, if you're not interested, We can just forget this ever happened. But my gaze was fixed on Elena, searching for any hint of remorse. Is that what you want? I asked, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. To forget it happened? To erase our 15 years together? Elena's eyes filled with tears as she shook her head. No! I want to work through this. I love you. I made a terrible mistake, and I'm so sorry. The pain of her words pierced through me. I could see she was genuinely remorseful, but the damage had been done. Trust had shattered, and I wasn't sure how to put the pieces back together. Do you really think we can fix this? I asked, my voice breaking. After what you did? I want to try, she pleaded. I want us to get back to where we were. I don't want to lose you. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on me, and I realized I had a choice to make. I could walk away, leaving behind a marriage built on years of love and commitment, or I could confront the pain, face the truth, and try to rebuild what had been lost. With a heavy heart, I turned to Martin. Get out. This is between my wife and me now. He held up his hands, a smug grin still on his face. As you wish. Just know, she had potential. It's a shame. As he left, I turned back to Elena, feeling the full weight of what had just transpired. She looked small and vulnerable, her tears spilling over. Why did it have to come to this? I whispered, my heart aching. I don't know, she admitted, her voice trembling. I was lost, and I didn't know how to reach out for help. I should have trusted you. The road ahead was uncertain, but as we stood together in the hotel room, I realized that our love was worth fighting for. It wouldn't be easy, but if we both committed to the process, perhaps we could find a way back to each other. We need to talk, I said finally, my voice steadying. We need to face this together if we're going to have any chance of moving forward. Elena nodded, her gaze filled with hope. And as we began to unravel the threads of our shattered trust, I knew that while the journey ahead would be difficult, it was one we would navigate together. As we stood in the hotel room, the reality of the situation settled heavily upon us. The silence was thick with unspoken words, the air heavy with the remnants of betrayal. I felt a mix of anger and sorrow coursing through me, but beneath it all, there was a flicker of determination. If we were going to salvage our marriage, we had to confront this moment head-on. Let's go somewhere private to talk, I suggested, my voice low but firm. The hotel room felt too small, too suffocating for the weight of our conversation. I needed to be somewhere we could speak freely, without the lingering presence of Martin's smirk, or the chaotic energy that had invaded our lives. Elena nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. We stepped out into the cool evening air, the bustling city of Prague alive around us, yet we felt as if we were in a bubble, isolated from the world. We walked in silence, both of us lost in our thoughts, until I spotted a nearby park with benches and trees that could provide a semblance of privacy. We settled onto a bench, the coolness of the meadow contrasting with the warmth of our earlier moments together. I looked at Elena, seeing the vulnerability etched on her face. I need to understand what led you to this, I began. I can't move forward without knowing why. She took a deep breath, her hands trembling. I've been feeling lost for a while now, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. With work, with life, everything. I thought maybe a change would help me feel better. When Martin approached me, it was like a rush of excitement. I felt alive for the first time in years. But at what cost? I asked, my heart aching for her confusion. Did you think cheating on me would solve your problems? Did you even think about how it would affect us? I was selfish, she replied, tears streaming down her cheeks. I didn't think about the consequences. I thought it would be harmless fun, just a little escape. I never intended for it to go that far. The pain in her voice resonated with me, and I could see the remorse etched on her features. But it didn't change the reality of what had happened. You have to understand how deeply this hurt me, I said, my voice thick with emotion. 15 years together, and you chose to share that moment with a stranger instead of coming to me. I know, she said, shaking her head. I can't explain why I made such a foolish choice. I thought I could handle it, that it wouldn't matter, but it did. It matters more than anything. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of our conversation settling around us. I felt a mixture of anger and compassion, but I also knew that I couldn't let this define our relationship. We had to confront the reality of our situation and find a way to rebuild what had been broken. I want to work through this, but it's going to take time, I said finally, my heart racing. We need to find a way to rebuild trust, to understand each other better. This isn't something we can fix overnight. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, she replied, her voice filled with sincerity. I love you, and I don't want to lose you. I want to earn back your trust. Her words hung in the air, a promise tinged with hope. Then we need to communicate, I said, my resolve strengthening. We can't let the distance grow between us again. We need to be open about our feelings, our fears. I need to know that you're committed to making this work. I am, she said, her eyes locking onto mine. I promise to be honest, to share my feelings instead of hiding them. I don't want to feel lost anymore. The sincerity in her voice tugged at my heart, and I realized that despite the betrayal, I still loved her deeply. I wanted to believe that we could overcome this, that we could emerge stronger on the other side. As we sat in the park, we began to talk openly about our relationship, what had been working and what hadn't. We reminisced about the moments that had brought us together, the adventures we had shared, and the love that had once felt so vibrant. We discussed our dreams, the things we wanted to pursue, and how we could support each other in achieving them. The more we spoke, the more I felt the connection rekindle, a small flame flickering against the darkness of betrayal. After hours of conversation, we left the park, hand in hand, feeling lighter than we had when we arrived. There was still a long road ahead, but for the first time since discovering Elena's infidelity, I felt a sense of hope. We were both committed to making things right, to finding our way back to each other. In the days that followed, we continued to communicate openly, sharing our thoughts and feelings without fear. We sought counseling together, allowing a professional to guide us through the complexities of rebuilding trust. With each session, we learned new ways to express our emotions, to validate each other's feelings, and to approach conflict with compassion rather than anger. We set aside time for regular date nights, intentionally reconnecting with one another and exploring new experiences together. The journey was not without its challenges. There were moments of doubt and frustration. But we faced them together, united in our determination to heal. Slowly but surely, we began to rediscover the love that had once flourished between us. One evening, as we walked through the cobblestone streets of Prague, I stopped to take in the view of the city skyline illuminated by the setting sun. I turned to Elena, a smile spreading across my face. Look how far we've come, I said, pride swelling in my chest. She beamed back at me, her eyes filled with warmth. I never want to take this for granted again. I've learned so much about myself, and what our marriage means to me. As we continued our stroll, I knew that while the scars of betrayal would always be a part of our story, they didn't have to define us. Together, we had turned a painful chapter into a new beginning, embracing the challenges and celebrating the victories that lay ahead. In that moment, I realized that love, when nurtured with understanding and commitment, could overcome even the darkest shadows. And as we walked hand in hand, I felt a renewed sense of hope, ready to face whatever came next, together.